Okay, so basically, yesterday the Gemara brought yesterday machlokes between Abaye and Rava regarding misasek. Rava has a much more liberal definition of misasek, and Abaye is much more narrow. So, what's the machlokes? The machlokes is regarding whether you're mechaven lachtach esatolish v'chotach esamechuber. You're mechaven to cut something that was really detached, so you weren't really mechaven to do an avera, but happens to be was mechuber. Or not that exact one happened to be mechuber, or you cut the wrong one, which was mechuber, right? So over there, Rava holds that you're pater. That's called misasek because you mamish. They were not mechaven to cut the one that wasn't tolish, right? But Abaye holds no, that since you were mechaven lachtoich l'maisa, you had this kavana for this maisa. So the fact that it happened to be mechuber is your fault. Right, and that's not called misasik. That's called a shogeg. So according to Abaye, you could have a shogeg on Shabbos, even though you know that it's Shabbos, you know that it's Asr, but the problem was you didn't know that this one was mechober, right? Just like when you eat chaylev by mistake, you think it was shuman, right? That's also a shogeg. So that's over here now. So itmar, the Gemara brings another version of where the machlokes applies. Itmar niskaven lizrek shtayim v'zarak arba. Right, we know that if you throw 4 amas and rishus harabim, you're chayav. However, let's say you were mechaven to throw 2 v'zarak arba, and you threw actually 4, so you were never mechaven to do an avera. Rava Omar Potter, Abaye Omar chayav. Rava Omar Potter the lake mechaven lizrika the arba. You are mechaven for a throw of the distance of 4 amas. Abaye Omar chayav daka mechaven lizrika ba'almi. You actually were mechaven for Zrik. You can't call yourself a misasek. Like, right, misasek literally means you're preoccupied in doing something else, right? So Abaye holds you have to actually be doing something else. But this over here now, you're not doing something else. You actually were mechaven l'zrika. Good morning.
Morning.
So since you were mechaven l'zrika, you can't tell me that you're misasek. And Rava says, no, you're patur because l'maisa you didn't. L'maisa you didn't throw it the amount you wanted to. So it's le'naisis machshavta. Your machshava wasn't done, so therefore you're patur. So
inherent in throwing 2, in intending to throw 2, inherent in that is the possibility that you may overthrow and do 4. So there's like a little bit of like negligence built into that, no?
In Abaye, according to Abaye?
Yeah, there's like foreseeability that you may blow it.
Therefore it's your fault.
Yeah, if it's totally different act, I can understand. But here, he intended to throw, and he knew that it's possible, he's not a malach, that maybe he would overdo it.
Right.
And it's much more, this is much closer to negligence than before.
Right. Okay. Right, the Gemara is going to go through why you need all 3 cases, right? So we are going to see that. But very good point that over here you're talking by Zrika. It's much more negligent than in the case where you mistakenly thought it was mechober, or thought it was talish, right? So now, right? So that was niskaven lizrek shtayim zark arba. Rav Amar Potter Abaye Amar chayav. Rav Amar Potter like mechaven zrika the arba. Abaye Amar chayav tak mechaven zrika ba'alma. Kasover rishus hayochet. Now, another case. Kasover is just hayochid. Let's say you threw something, or you went somewhere, right? You carried something. You thought it was rishus hayochid. I'm going from rishus hayochid to rishus hayochid. The nimtis rishus harabim. Yeah, it ended up that it was rishus harabim. So so now are you chayiv or not? Rav Amar Potter, Abaye Amar chayiv. Rav Amar Potter, Dag lemechaven the zrika. You were mechaven to be zarik into that rishus, the zrika de isura, right? You were mechaven the zrika de isura. Abaye Amar no chayiv, Dak mechaven the zrika ba'alma. You were mechaven the zrika. Since you're mechaven the zrika, so again you're held chayiv. You can't call him a misasek because the ma'isa is mechaven for this ma'isa. Utzricha. We need all 3 cases. Diash meaning kamaisa in the first case where they argue about talish. Ba'hukam Rava, maybe only with Rava says that loike mechaven the chaticha de isura because the mamish wasn't mechaven for that chaticha of iser. Aval niskaven lizek shtayim zark arba. But maybe when you're mechaven lizrak shtayim v'zorak arba, right? In the case where you were mechaven to throw it 2 and did throw 4. The arba b'lo tarti lemizrukale, that you can't have a throwing of 4 without having a throwing of 2, right? 2 is included in the throwing of 4, which means that your machshava was done, right? So when you meant to take the one that was talush, and you took the one mechuber, you took the wrong one, right? So therefore, maybe Rav over there, Rav holds your potter, but over here, it's not like you did something fully not what you wanted. Half of what happened was what you wanted, right? So you do have a connection to what's going on over here. So maybe over there, Rav would agree. So therefore, Ema Maidi Leila Abaye. V'yesh meaning Baha Kama Rav, only over there, Rav Dalek Mechavan Zrika de Arba. The Maisi were Mechavan for Zrika Arba, V'kasav Rishon Sayachim Tzir Ram, the Mechavan Zrika de Arba, right? In the case where you were Mechavan for such a long Zrika, you should be Pater. But when you're Mechavan for that exact amount of Zrika, except that the Rishus was different, so Ema Maidi Leila Abaye, I might think he's Maidi to Abaye because you're Mechavan for that amount of Zrika, therefore Tzrika, therefore you need. And that's sort of like the first case, right? Because it's Mamish a whole different Rishus. So it's like Talosh and Mechuba, right? But still, right, it sounds like the Gemara says you need another limud. Okay. Now, says the Gemara, Tanan, Avos Melachos Arbaim Chaser Achas, right? So that's actually a Mishnah that we're going to have in a minute. That's the Mishnah on the bottom of the page. Famous Mishnah. Rav Avinu Ba, and we asked this question a bunch of times. We don't know Lamali, why do you need 39? Harry, I could count, right? It says this coming to teach me that I can be chayav a full 39 melachas, right? If I do everything helamachas, we can understand this according to Abaye Damar Ki Agavna chayav, that you could be chayav mishkachas l'diyah that the isur Shabbos v'yod l'isur melachas. He knows that it's asur. He knows that it's Shabbos, and he knows that melachas are asur on Shabbos. Right? So how come v'kata b'shiurim and you retire b'shiurim, like this case where you thought to throw 2 and you ended up throwing 4? According to Abaye, that's a shaygig and you're chayav. So according to Abaye, the idea here is that you know that it's Shabbos, right? And it's called a shaygig still. Elo l'Rav Adam or Pater. According to Rav that holds in that situation you're Pater. Right? How could you find it? Hooray, and it's again the same shiloh that we've been having on this Mishnah, that if you don't know, if you're chayav for all 39 melachas, that means you forgot all 39 melachas. And if you got all 39 melachas, then the guy has no Shabbos in his head anymore. What is Shabbos if there's no 39 melachas anymore? Right? So therefore you shouldn't be chayav at all. And as Bishlagam, according to Abaye, no, you could know each melacha even in your head while you're doing it, right? And still have a shaygig. Why? Because you did it in this way where you're sort of misasek, right? But because you thought it was something else, but Abaye still holds your chayiv. So it makes sense. In each melacha, we'll find the according to Abaye, like this. But according to Rava, where this is Yutaka going to be Pater, right? So therefore, how does the guy know that it's Shabbos, right? And therefore still be chayiv. So says the Gemara. The Gemara says Bezod Shabbos v'shigas melachas. The case is when he knew it was Shabbos, but he didn't know about the melachas, and therefore he's chayav for each of the 39 melachas. Again, that's the problem. Right? Again, we only find that in the case where what's the shigig of the malacha? According to Rabbi Eliyahu, who holds that if you knew that it was a lav, but you didn't know it was a kares, you still have a chatas. Then it makes sense, right? Mishkachas la diyada la Shabbos v'lav. Ella yisav la Kerem Shimon Lakish. If he holds like Rish Lakish, then mat shishkash v'lav v'kares. The only way you're chayiv a carbon is if you have a shaygig and a lav and a kares. Therefore, over here he must have not known about any of the malachos, right? So then, what does it mean diyada la Shabbos? Right? Diyada la Shabbos b'mai. What does that mean? You know about Shabbos. You didn't know about any of the 39 malachos. It makes no sense that you knew about Shabbos. So l'chayra, you shouldn't be chayiv 39. Where it says the yadala bitchumen v'aliv d'riyakiva. Shad is, you know avada, you forgot all 39 melachos, and therefore you're chayiv for each one. Or bazoi. That means you didn't know about Shabbos at all, right? And if you didn't know about Shabbos at all, so maybe you should be chayiv only one, right? You shouldn't be chayiv 39. Says the Gemara, no. The yadala bitchumen v'aliv d'riyakiva. Shad avada, you knew the concept of Shabbos because Vada, you knew at the concept of Shabbos, but you didn't know any of the 39 melachas. So what's Shabbos? Shabbos was Tchumen, the Isser of Tchumen, which is not part of the 39 melachas. So you're not allowed to go a certain distance. And according to Rabbi Akiva, who holds that Tchumen is Taka D'Oraisa, others argue and hold Tchumen is not D'Oraisa. But according to him, according to Rabbi Akiva, Tchumen is a concept, a D'Oraistic concept of Shabbos. So therefore, you know the concept of Shabbos, and still, you are. And still you're chayav for each of the 39 melachos because
You're shogeging them.
You're shogeg in each one.
Forgot
Right?
them.
You're shogeg in each one, and you're not a shogeg in Shabbos because you're talking about Shabbos.
So it wraps up nicely all the different sugyas. We'll go back to Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish again.
Right. We have this, I think, 3 times already. Right. Okay, so that's the machlokes of BeiRav. The Gemara was just pointing out that Vayter, according to Abai, we have another pshat in this Mishnah, another way you could be chayiv a malacha, right? Not just if you forget that it's Shabbos, not just if you forget that it's a malacha, but also if you don't realize what's going on over here and you don't realize that this thing that I'm doing is mechuber, right? And I'm cutting it thinking that it's talush. So as though you have another oifen, another way that Abai could be mechayiv shaygigs. Also, you have another pshat in the Mishnah as to how you mechayiv all 39 together. But if not, we have to resort back to our regular pshat. Okay, now, Masnisin. Avos, everything we've been waiting for since the beginning of the Masechta. Masnisin, Avos malachas arbaim chaser achas. That the malachas are 40 minus 1. Now, why does it say 40 minus 1? So there's a bunch of pshatim that is trying to point out that the world was missing only one thing, was missing menucha. So arbaim chaser achas, that's why it's, or because I saw another pshat that we had a Gemara previously in Bameh Taimyon that said melacha, melacha, melacha 39 times in the Torah, right? And that's how we know that the 39 melachas. But then there was one more time that it said melacha, and the Gemara had to interpret it by saying that no, that doesn't mean melachta imamish. It was non-literal. So that's why we're pointing out it's arbaim chaser achas. It's missing that one time that it says melacha in the Torah. That one time in melacha doesn't refer to melachas. Whatever, there's different shatim, but as to why. It's just like Malchus. By Malchus, the Torah says 40, and Chachamim interpret it as 39. So it's a similar thing, right? But Abraham Chaser Achas. Okay, so what are the malachas? Hazireya if you plant, V'hachorish if you plow, V'hakoitzer if you cut off, V'me'amer is if you bundle. When you bundle something, bundling is only something that's usually done in the field. If you do it at home, that's not such a. It's not the derech of me'amer. Dash is when you separate something from its shell. Again, it's something that's usually done. It's something that's done in the field, but something is like to take out a peanut from a shell. That's something that's normally done at home. That's derech achila. That's not dash. Zoyre is winnowing when you throw. You take a pitchfork or with your hand, you throw it up to the air, and you let the wind take away the garbage. It's after you threshed it, after you stamped on it with the animal or whatever, and with rocks, and the shell was now loosened from the kernel. Then what they used to do, they used to take the pitchfork and throw it up in the air, wait for a windy day, and then the wind would sift away the shell, the garbage that you don't want. That's Zaire. Boirer is after that. You would take whatever is left and put it in some type of kli or by hand sift out the kernels. Teichen is when you grind it up into flour. So also grinding something very thin, even a vegetable, dak, right? If it's a tzarich achila, maybe it's not a problem, right? But hamirakid is when after you have the flour, you're sifting it from weiter the junk that's there, right? So that's another type of sifting. The Gemara is going to ask, that Zaira, Barim, and Rakad are really a similar thing. Why do we need 3 different malachis for it? The halash is if you need it, if you take water and need something into a batter, right? That's called lash va'aifez if you bake. Now until now, this was what we call malacha de sidur, the malachas of sidur de pas, how to make bread. Now really in the Mishkan, right, we know that everything's parallel to what they did in the Mishkan. In the Mishkan, they didn't bake bread. The fact that lachem apanim, the baked bread, that doesn't count. because that's not in Binyan Mishkan, that's in the Avoid of the Mishkan. That's like Karbanis, right? We don't learn from the Avoid of the Mishkan. We learn from the Biniyas Mishkan. They built the Mishkan. And when they built the Mishkan, they had to be Mivashal Samamonim. They needed all the dyes to paint all the ureas and everything. So that was the cooking. They needed all these. When you plant the spices, whatever, you plant the herbs and different ingredients, and you do all these different melachas to extract the ink and the color out of it, and then you would be mevashal. Really, it's called mevashal. You're mevashal the
dyes, the herbs,
the tzemer with the dye. Right, you mevashal everything together. But the mice over here, the reason why the Mishnah says oifeh is because we're sort of translating it into the way it's done to make bread, because that's the most chashav. That's the way people do it today, right? That's how it usually manifests. So therefore, we say oifeh. Oifeh might be the av, it might be the tolda, right? But at the end of the day, the Mishnah changed it because we're dealing with how people do it with the regular lives. Fine. Now, hagoyz is at tzemer. After that, they would need to make the ureas, right? So you need the wool. So if you cut off the wool, malabnoy means if you wash it out and then it comes out white. Menaptza is if you comb it either with a kli or you bang it all and you bang it down until the individual hairs separate. Vatsoiva, if you color it. Vatsoiva is if you spin it into make the individual strands of wool into an actual string. That's you twist it or you spin it. That's a toive.
To thread.
The thread. The hamesach. Mesach is when you connect it to the loom, and you spread the shesi and there's erev, and you take the shesi and you tie it to either sides. There's these two rollers that you tie the shesi to either side. One side is where you start the weaving, and the other side is where the strings are attached to. That's mesach. The Isa Shtei Batei Nirim is that in the middle of the loom they would have two I don't know if you have I probably get a picture, but it'll take a while. But in the middle of the loom you would have these two square frames, right? And then in the frames you would have these little holes. And basically the way to weave, weaving, the concept of weaving is shesi ve'erev, right? But it's very hard to go in and out, right? In between each, you take the erev and put it up and down each shesi string. That's very hard. So what they used to do is they would connect every other string in the shesi to a different frame, right? And then when you pick up the frame, so every other string gets picked up, and then you could throw the erev. You could pass the erev string along, and then you put it down, and you pick up the other frame, and every other shesi string picks up, and like this, you're able to weave it, right? So if you stick the strings through the two frames, that's called shtei batei nirim. Right? You make two batei nirim. That means that you put the strings through the actual frames that are used to pick up the individual strings of shasi to be able to throw the erev through. We have a picture.
Did I get it in the right place?
Yeah, so those frames in the middle, right? Those frames in the middle are the batei nirim, and you would string the strings through it, and that would be part of setting up the loom, right? Okay, so both of these melachos are part of setting up the loom. The ha'oreg is when you actually do it, right? Ha'oreg is when you actually take the erev string and bring it through the shesi strings, right? So right, each of these melachos have a shiur. Some of them are general, some of them specific shiur, right? So over here it's ha'oreg shnei chutim. You have to do it back and forth. That's what it means.
Two frames that lifted alternate strings of the warp, so that you can put the thing back and forth. So
that's batei nirim.
Right. The batei nirim are alternate strings, so that one lifts up one, then the other one lifts up the odd, the other one lifts up the even.
Right, and then that's an easy way to get it through each one, right? Right, but oirig is when you actually lift it and then throw the erev in between, right? So then it actually weaves it. So oirig shnei chutim means you throw the erev back and forth. The poitzeya, I'll try to find the video and share it to the. I'm sure there's videos online that show exactly how to do it. Today,
Daf HaChaim has it.
Okay, so I'll look it up. Today they still have looms that work under the same mechanism. It's just much more complicated. It's huge and it has all these different parts to it. So, but they still have looms today. They still use it. So, okay. So after you would finish weaving a cloth or a segment of a cloth, you would cut off some of the strings. Sometimes if it's extra or if it's or just to loosen it. So that's called hapoitzeya. That if you cut off the strings. Rashi says you make them lighter, you make them weaker if it's too tight, if it's too strong. So again, shnei chutim yud b'chayv, hakosher v'amater, kosher v'amater in general, right? If you tie something, or you untie it. Now kosher and mater also there's a discussion whether you need. Taisus over here discusses whether the mater, the untying has to be l'tzara, has to be a tikkun, right? Or right, it has to be a menas liksha or not. Right, because we'll see by other melachos it has to be right. We saw previously that seiser has to be al menas livnos. Right, seiser is only chayav unless you al menas livnos. So Taisus wonders if this applies also to kosher and mater. V'atofer state firois, and if you tie two right after you have your beged and after you tied the loose ends, or kosher and mater stam could be referring to even a fishing net. Right, it's not even. But after you have your cloth, your different segments of cloth, you want to tie it together, just like you tie the areas together. You want to tie your shirt to your different parts of your shirt together, so that you need that is done through sewing, not through weaving, right? So if you do two stitches, you're chayiv in and out. And then sometimes if it's too tight or something ripped, so you would have to rip a few stitches in order to re-tie it up. So that's also like right? So that is going to be also chayiv. Atzad tzevi, if you trap a deer, your chayav hashoichtoi, and you shecht it is another melacha. And anytime you take out blood, it's also a melacha because it's netilas neshama. V'amafshitoi, and if you skin it, hamochoi v'amabed. This sounds like from the Mishnah that it's two separate melachos. The Gemara is going to end up saying that it's one melacha. Hamochoi v'amabed is how you treat the wood. You salt it, and then you me'abed is a different way you would treat it. To make the leather usable, either by stamping on it or putting it in different different ingredients. Memachkoi is when you smooth it out and you take out all the hairs. Whatever guk is that you make it smooth. You take that's memachkoi. V'amechatchoi is when you cut it. And the Gemara sticks something in over here. The Gemara sticks also misartit as a melacha, which is when if you delineate, either with paint or with an indent as to where you want to cut, right? If you measure out how long and then you make an indent or you make a line, right? So that's not koisev, that's misartet. It's also an av. And then mechatcha, if you cut it in the right amount that you want, that's also an av malacha. Just like you have to cut the leather. Hakoisev shtei oisius, if you write two oisius, the hamoichek al menaslich is, and being moichek also if it's l'tzarech b'koisev, then also you're chayev. Habayne, if you build something, binyan is only b'karka. B'kelim, it's not really ein binyan b'kelim, maybe the rabbanan, but bayne means in the karka. V'asaiser, again we said previously that there's a shita that holds it has to be saisal menas livnais also. Amechabe. Now if you extinguish, we talked about right the idea of mechabe is when you make coal. The mavir is if you and to create a fire. It's also an av melacha. Makeh b'patish, and the makeh b'patish is sort of if you have the finishing of any melacha. It's the gemar melacha of any kli that you're making or anything that you're doing. The final. What they used to do is they used to bang with the hammer on the metal, and that would be the end of. That would be the end of making that kli, right? So too, like any final any final thing that needs to be done to a kli that wouldn't be included in any of the previous melachas, but if it's the makeh bepatish, if it's the final action that needs to be done to finish off the kli, so then it's its own melacha of makeh bepatish. Hamaitzi mishus l'rshus, elu, right, and the last one is hamaitzi mishus l'rshus is going carrying, right? Harei elu avos melachas arba'im chasar achas. These are the 39 melachas. Okay, so these are the avos, and obviously told us are what come out of them. So there's an interesting Yerushalmi that says that Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, they were ma'ayin into Hilchos Shabbos, and they found 39 toldas for each of the melachos, and whatever they couldn't find whatever melacha they thought was aser, but they couldn't classify it in any av, they stuck it into makeh bepatish. So it sounds like the Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish aren't necessarily coming from the avos. It's not like they're saying, okay, let's analyze the avos and let's see what we could infer from the avos. No, it's whatever melacha chashuva is. So then they stuck it up. They just pasted it onto the av, right? So there's different mefarshim that talk about it. But either way, that's interesting Gemara that found 39 told us for every one of the avos. Okay. So now the Gemara is going to explain. Going to sort of go through all of them. We saw this more a bunch of times. This is really where it was said, right? Finally, we get up to the actual Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan says, "Why do we need the number? We could count on our own." The Gemara says, "No, we want to let you know that if you do all of them together, you would be chayav 39 chatois." Now, Hazareva Chayrish, 2 melachas, says the Gemara, "Michti mikra of karvi bereisha." First you plow and then you plant, right? So why does it say first Zareh and then Chayrish? Listen to Chayrish v'had listen to Zareh. Says the Gemara, Tana be'Eretz Yisrael kai. The Mishnah was written in Eretz Yisrael. The Zari bereisha that they plant first v'had or karbi. Rashi says this means in Eretz Yisrael, because the land was hard, the land was tough, and you would have to do charisha after the zriya. Meaning he's not saying that you don't do charisha first. Avad, you do charisha first, then you do zriya, and then Eretz Yisrael you would have to do charisha again because the land is hard. You'd have to do charisha again, and kamash malon that you're chayiv even for the second charisha, and that's what this means. Tana Eretz Yisrael dezari bereisha v'hadar karbi, and then they do charisha. Tana. Hazareya v'hazoymer v'anetea v'amavrich v'amarkiv. The Brisa says the following: If you're Zareya and Zoymer, hold on a second. So Zareya is planting, regular planting. Zoymer is when you prune, when you have to cut things off in order, right? Sometimes when you cut off. You shave the tree a little bit, right? It helps it grow, right? So that's also a toilada of Zareya, right? Because even though you're cutting something off the tree, but at the end of the day, that helps the tree, and therefore it's Zareya. Neiteya is when you plant a tree. Hamavrich v'amarkiv. Mavrich is when you, I think it's called propagate. I'm not sure how to say it in English, but what they used to do is they would take, let's say, a grapevine and then fold it into the ground, and you don't have to plant a tree from the beginning, but you take an existing tree and you pull a branch and you stick it into the ground, right? So that's called mavrich. Markiv is when you graft 2 trees together, right? Cool. And so all these things, they're all melacha achasin, they're all one melacha. My Kamash Malan says the Gemara, what are you teaching me? Well, what's the chiddush that it's one melacha? But who cares that it's one melacha? Says the Gemara, this is a big side. Why is it important to know the different avos melachos? Because if you do different avos, right, if you do different melachos from different avos, you're chayiv for each one. But if it's within one av, if they're all told us of one av, or the av and the tolda, so then you're chayiv only one. So that's why it's important that you have to know within which category each one is. Amar Abacha, Amar Abchia. Now there's also an inyan of hasra, that if the edim want right, if someone doesn't bemeze it, right, and you're chayiv skila, then the edim have to give them hasra on the proper av. If it's the wrong av, then they're not chayiv, right? So too that's why it's important to know the right av. Amar Abacha, Amar Abchia bar Ashi, Amar Bami. Zoymer chayiv mishum noiteya. Mishum noiteya. A zoymer, someone who's pruning, is chayiv mishum noiteya, like we said. Now noiteya ve'amavrich ve'amarkiv, and if someone plants a tree, a sapling, right, ve'amavrich ve'amarkiv, or like we explained, the grafting or sticking it into the ground, chayv mishum zareya. That's mishum zareya. Says the Gemara, you sound like mishum zareya in mishum noiteya lo. It sounds like the mavrich and markiv, you're pointing out that it's specifically because zoymer you said is noiteya. These you called zareya, right? So it sounds like you're telling me specifically mishum zareya, not mishum noiteya, right? It's really the same thing. So the Gemara says ema af mishum zareya. No, we mean even also because of zareya.
Because the Ray and Oteya are the same.
It's really right. It's really the same thing. That Zriya by Ilanis is called Natiya, right? And if you do it together with Zriya, he's specifically trying to tell you that when you do Mavrich and Markiv, if you do it with regular Zriya, you're chayiv only one because it's within the same category. So again, it's tough to understand the Havamina because Natiya and Zriya and Zreya are really the same halacha. Natiya isn't its own av, right? So obviously Natiya and Zreya are b'chlal the same thing, but that's maybe what exactly what he's teaching me. Right? The Gemara, the Havamina was, the Gemara says, sounds like it's not Neiteya. What do you mean? What's Neiteya? Neiteya is nothing. Right? There's no Av called Neiteya. The Gemara says, you're right. Ema Af Mishum Zareya means all B'chlal Zareya. Okay. Amar Rav Kahana, Zaymer v'tzarech le'etzim, if you prune a tree and you also, besides for wanting to fix the tree, when you prune it, you also want the eitzim. So then Chayiv Shtayim, Achas Mishum Koitzer. Right, so kaitzer is only when you actually want the wood. If you don't want the wood that you're cutting off, whatever you're cutting off, that's malacha shein tzricha l'gufa, you would be pater, or maybe it's just mekalkel, right? Because you don't really need it. So but if you do need it, you're chayiv al kaitzer, and also because you're helping the tree through the pruning, you're chayiv too, right? So achas shum kaitzer, achas shum netei. Amar Rabbi Yossi, hayman dekat l'aspasta. Someone cuts off aspasta is called shachas. It's some type of very cheap growth that they used to feed the animals. I think it would grow like 3 times a year. It's mentioned again in the Sugis and Baba Basra, but you're chayiv shtayim again. Why? Achas mishum kaitzer, because you're cutting it off and you want it. V'achas mishum neteya, another one, because when you cut it off, it helps it grow more, so therefore it's neteya. Amar Abaya hamayin dekanev silka. So too, if you cut off a selek, I guess it's beets. If you cut. Huh? Right,
that's what it says, beets.
Right, if you cut off beets, then you're chayiv also shtayim again because you're being kaitzer v'achas mishum zareya. Also, it helps it grow again. I guess it's a root vegetable, and then it keeps on growing. When after you cut it, it helps it grow more. So therefore, you're chayiv too. Tana, hacharish v'achoyfer. If you plow or you dig, v'acharetz is if you make indents in the ground or ditches or something. It's all one melacha. If you had a little mound of dirt, and then you flattened it, right? You took it away. So bebay is chayev mishum baina. In the house you're chayev because of baina, because you're sort of building the house, you're building the floor, right? Basada chayev mishum chayrish. In the sada you're chayev because of chayrish, right? But in the house, I guess you're not chayev mishum chayrish because that's not the derech to be chayrish in your house. Amar Rava. Let's say the opposite. If you have a little hole in the ground, and you sealed it up and you filled it up, the bayis chayv mishum baina, basada mishum chayrish. The bayis is because of baina, the same thing. Basada is mishum chayrish, but again, why? And it's even though it's you're filling up a hole, it's not regular charisha. No, but Rashi explains it because the ground is soft, right? And anytime you make ground soft, that's better for planting, and that's b'chlal charisha. Amar Rabbi Abba, ha'choifer guma b'Shabbos. If you dig a hole on Shabbos, then it's archal afara, but you don't need the actual hole, so you're not doing it for the charisha, right? You need it for the dirt. So then you're pater aleha. You're going to be pater. Va'afil Rabbi Yehuda Amar Melacha shein tzurich l'guf l'chayev aleha. Right. So there's a big machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. Whether melacha shein tzurich l'guf l'chayev aleha, which means that each melacha has sort of its regular usage, the regular way, either the regular way it was done in the Mishkan or the regular point, the objective, the goal that someone does when you want the goal that someone wants when he does this melacha, right? So when you are chayresh, right, you're not doing it for the dirt. You don't want the dirt to take somewhere else. You're doing it to loosen the land, right? So if you're just digging a hole, which is charisha, and you're being mechaven to do this ma'ase of charisha, it's the davar 100% miskaven, right? However, the intent, the goal of what you're doing over here isn't for the regular thing you do harisha. It's for a side thing. You happen to want the dirt, right? So then you would be pater, right? So I feel Rabbi Yehuda that Rabbi Yehuda holds it doesn't make a difference. He holds even though you didn't do it for the correct reason it was done in the Mishkan, it doesn't make a difference. You're still chayiv. But according over here, even he would hold your pater because hani milu misakin but hai mekalkel. Over here it's mekalkel. Because at the end of the day, even though you gain something, you gain the offer, right? But the ma'aser you mekalkel the ground, and therefore you're going to be pater. V'hakoitzer says the Gemara, Tana hakoitzer, haboitzer, v'hagoider, v'hamasik, v'ha'oire. These are all different types of cutting. Koitzer is when you tvua, when you cut off like wheat and grains, produce. Haboitzer, boitzer is grapes. Goider is
dates.
Goider is dates. Moisik is olives. Oire is figs. Now, kulam melacha achasi, they're all one melacha, it's the same melacha, and again, you would be chayiv one. Amar of Papa, Hayman, to show the piece of ladikla, if you throw a piece of mud to a date tree, to a palm tree, that has dates, v'asar tamri, and then you cause dates to fall off. Chayiv shtayim, achas mishum toilish, v'achas mishum mefarik. You chayiv one because of toilish, that's understood, right? You caused it to be nitlash, which is koitzer. Right, and one also because of mefarik. Now the issue is what exactly is mefarik over here. So Rashi says you're being mefarik it from the tree. Some Rishonim don't like Rashi. Rashi says mefarik is a telada de dash. Right, dash is when you thresh, when you take something out of the kernel. So to mefarik is that. Taisus argues. Taisus famously, Rabbi Tam, the holds mefarik has nothing to do with dash, but let's just go with Rashi. Rashi says mefarik is a telada of dash. And apparently what happens over here is that after when you throw this hard rock of dirt at the tree, so A, you're causing it to be nitlash, so you're chayiv because you severed the tamarim from the tree. But B, after it fell to the ground, or maybe on impact of what you threw at it, it caused the tamarim to leave its shell. There's some type of shell, and that's called mefarik, right? So just like when you thresh. You're causing something you're extracting something inside a shell outside. So too, mefarik also there must be some type of shell situation in the date that he's being mefarik it, right? And that's why he's chayiv twice. So Rashi Omar no ein derech klishu bekach. He says you're not going to be chayiv because that's the shinui, right? You're not chayiv unless it's the regular malacha chashuva, the regular way the malacha is done. And if you do it by throwing a rock, that's not the regular derech, and therefore you're pater. Ein derech tchlisha bekach, ein derech prika bekach. By throwing, that's not a way to do it, and therefore you're going to be pater. And this is true by all malachas Shabbos, that if it's b'shinui, so then you're going to be pater. V'ham amer, amar Rav Haiman dekonef milcha mimalachta. If you gather salt from a salt mine, right? Salt mines are usually at the side of the sea. They would dig up an area like a ditch in a way that the water from the sea would be gathered in a cave or something, and then the sun would come and dry up the water, and you would be left with salt, right? So if you gather that, it's also chayiv mishum me'amer, just like me'amer is when you bundle your wheat together in the field, so, and that's a malacha chashuva, and it's one of the av malacha. So too, when you gather the salt from where it's produced. Right, you're also chayiv. Abaye Omar no ein imur elu gedulei karka. Imur is only in gedulei karka, only in something that grows from the ground, not salt, which doesn't grow from the ground. But the Mefarshim point out that even Rava, who holds, and it sounds like we pass him like Abaye, but even Rava, Avadi holds that it's only salt that was in the place that it was produced, and he holds it. Avada, just like in me'amer is done in the field, salt has to be done in the salt. The only time you're chayiv if you gather it in the salt mine, right? And it has to be like the way. In terms of the production, me'amer is a malacha that's done as part of the production of what you're doing. So if it's in the salt mine, yeah, but it's on your table, right? So that's not me'amer. It's not the derech to be me'amer at home, so that's not a problem. Certain things that are the derech to be me'amer at home, maybe like pressing figs together, that might be a problem. But salt would not be a problem. V'hadosh, tana hadosh v'amenapet v'amenapet. So all these things are kulam melacha achasi. What's menapetz is Rashi explains it's just by different types of menapetz is by flax by linen. Menapet is by cotton, right? It's the same. It's just a different word for the different methods that are done by regular grain and linen and cotton, right? They're all one malacha. Hazayre v'habayre v'atoichen v'hamiraked, right? So it says the Gemara, Hainu zayre, Hainu bayre, Hainu miraked, right? Big shaila. It's why we understand, right, that there might be three different processes that are needed in terms of creating flour, right? Both zayre, which is winnowing using the wind, and then bayre, separating whatever's left, and then miraked is after it's flour, sifting the flour. Says the Gemara, Hainu zayre, Hainu bayre, Hainu miraked. L'maisa, it's the same real malacha. Why would we be magdir it as three separate av malachas? So Abai BeiRav Kol Milsa say Kol Milsa dehavya b'Mishkan, anything that was in the Mishkan, Afal Gav, even though the Ika the Damula, even though there are similarities between the different malachas, Chashivlet, it's considered one malacha. It's considered separate malacha. Since you're right, really we could have been magdir as one malacha, but because in the Mishkan it was done three separate times, it's chashiv on its own because it's on malacha. Says the Gemara, so then why don't we count kaitesh? What's kaitesh? Kaitesh is when after you have the kernel, before you grind it, you would bang it, and that would take off the extra klipa, the extra. There would be a shell around the actual kernel, right? I think that's how you make whole wheat, right? By whole wheat, you leave on that kernel, you leave on that shell that's around the kernel, and in white wheat, you take it off. So Afagav Dikit Dami L'Chashiv says the Gemara Amar Abayish. So V'Lichshanami Kaitish. Let us count Kaitish also, that extra Milacha Amar Abayish Ken Ani Oichel Pitoy V'Leik Tisha. No, because a poor man eats with that Tisha, and therefore it's not considered something that will count because it's not so essential. Aniyim don't do it. Rava Amar Hamani Rebbe Hid Amar Avos Malachas Arbaim Chaser Achas. It's Rebbe holds that it's specifically 39. V'Yichashiv Kaitish Havale Arbaim, and if you have Kaitish, then you have 40. Right, so therefore it can't be an av malacha. Says more of a leifuk chada mihanach. Let's take out one of these v'la'ayil kaitish. So when it's mechatesi, maybe kaitish is one of them, and you have to detract someone else. Why is kaitish less? El mechavar tikta Abaye must be shaz like Abaye. What's Abaye? Again, Abaye is saying that even though it was a mikdash and it's an av malacha, Rashi does say it's an av malacha. So it's some hold that really it's not an av malacha. But Rashi seems to say, right? He says afagav da'avoy b'mikdash v'av malacha. But we're not going to count it because it's not something that's always done because aniyim don't do it.
I mean, it would have been an av malach if they weren't constrained by 39. Maybe we would have counted it.
Right, but Rashi says it's an av malacha.
But how could that be? Rashi knows there's only 39. He means it's worthy. That's a shver Rashi. Right, it is a shver Rashi.
Yeah.
All right, Yashikoyach.
Okay.
I have a link. Someone sent us on the three introductions in Daf HaChaim in the email. Can I send email to the WhatsApp?
I
have to wait for a young'un to get up, so they'll do it for me. Then has like three